got questions. And he pulls out his piece of paper, and there's all these questions on there. 3 pages. He had questions. 3 pages. And Bob just looked at him, takes the piece of paper, and what happened, Doug?
He took the 3 sheets of paper, he looked at me, he tore them into a bunch of pieces, he threw them in the garbage. He said, you know what, you're fucking...
Yes.
Bob does swear.
He does swear.
You know what, yeah, yes.
Yes.
You know what your problem is? Is you can't make a friggin' decision. And he said, if I answer these 15 questions, you're going to come back with another 15 questions.
Yes.
He said, if you want to work with me, you make a decision right now. Otherwise, the meeting is over. And he stood up. And so I made a decision right on the spot. And I became a very good decision maker. But I still had a lot of questions for a little while. They started to slow down over time.
And that was a gift that Bob gave you in that moment, was not to pander to your questions, because it was insatiable. You would never have enough information. Yeah. And the way that he was seeing you was as somebody that could make the decision and was worthy of the decision, of the yes in that moment. How did that decision affect your life, having Bob as a mentor and friend?
Big time. When he passed, we were asked to do a video and talk about how Bob impacted your life. And I said that he left me in a really good place. I love what you said about pandering to questions. So I pandered a lot of questions about myself. I pandered a lot of questions about, going forward, succeeding. Bob charged me with running his coaching division. And I remember as you were positioning the question, I remember he would always tell these stories to make his point, to get me to make decisions. I remember one time in his backyard, he told a story, which he told a story to many, many people. It's funny, Gina, I was thinking about it. I never did ask Gina if Bob ever would have said this or not, but this is my answer. And so he was telling a story about how he was working for Earl Nightingale, and he was up here in Canada. Earl was down in Chicago, and he was selling Lead the Field programs, records like crazy. And he said, Doug, I just made my mind up that I was going to elect myself the vice president of sales for the Nightingale Conant Corporation. I opened up an office. I got business cards made up, and I started helping the other coaches and consultants. And he winked at me. He said, that would probably be a good idea. And so that's what I started doing. Now, I didn't open an office. I didn't get business cards made up. But I just started helping the other coaches, because I want to be the number one guy. That was on my goal card. So I'm the top consultant in the world. I'm the Roger Bannister of Proctor Gallagher Institute, and I'm working side by side with Bob Proctor. So I joined in May 2014. I wrote that goal, and by the end of August, I was the international sales director. And so he did those things. He would tell these stories, and I thought, I think he's talking to me, right? And so I think I learned that. I mean, I would have not written this book without him until I really understood the Let It Go chapter. And it took me almost 7 years to understand what he meant, that just let it go, and it's really friggin' simple. And so I now tell people, like the book, I designed the book. It's not a book to read. It's a handbook. It is a guide to letting go fast. It's 30 chapters, 30 stories, 30 key points, and 30 little action steps to get you. What I got to do is I hook your attention with a story. I change your mind in the story. I get you to think differently, because a lot of things you think and believe are off track. And then while I got your mind changed, I get you to take an action step. And because if you take action in the right direction, you get a reaction, you're on the right track. And so I would have never written the book until I finally go, oh my God, this was so easy. It happened. It could happen so fast. I made it so complicated. Bob goes, Doug, you're making this so complicated. No, Bob, you don't understand. Okay, Doug, whatever you say. And so I think one of the other chapters is called Things Were Delicate, and you mentioned earlier, and people ask me, what's my favorite chapter? It's the one chapter that moves me the most emotionally. It's not a long chapter. It's just really talking about, teachers along the way that saw something in me that I did not see. Some protected me, some encouraged me. Mr. Feeney, my grade 10 English teacher, who held me accountable. I mean, how does a guy that doesn't finish grade 10 English write a book? And the book is really good. I mean, and I said no because the publisher said that. They go, did you write this? I go, yeah. And I give them the manuscript. Was this your first pass? I go, yeah. And so I have these, and then Bob, of course, was one of the most delicate. So he saw something in me. He got me to believe it. He backed me up. He kicked my butt. And he got me to take action to prove that he was right about me. And he was right. And I was wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was right. And I think, so first of all, just to reiterate what Doug said about the book, it's not a book that you're going to sit and read. It's a book that you are going to literally be with. And what Doug has at the end of every chapter is an opportunity to reflect and action steps that you can take so you can integrate it and embody the work. As we bring this part to a close, I do want to read the dedication because I do love it.
I've had enough crying, and I think I'm... Go ahead.
This book is dedicated to my daughter. You came into my life at just the right time, and I realized I was worth more than I felt I was. You inspired me to be a better man, a better father, and a better person to help the world. Doug, that's what this book is doing. That's what you're doing.